Welcome to the Grounded Path, Tools for Soul. I'm Emma Muir. This podcast is for men who are tired of carrying everything alone, tired of performing who they think they should be, and ready to connect with who they truly are. Together, we'll explore self-awareness, emotional intelligence, fatherhood, relationships, and the beliefs that shape how we show up in the world. Because the goal isn't to become someone else, the goal is to come home to yourself. So let's begin. Today we're going to get straight into something that men rarely talk about, even with the people closest to them. The stigma around seeking help. It's not just therapy, not coaching, not support, just help. Someone outside your immediate circle who can actually challenge you to grow. Because here's what I see all the time, almost daily. Men will go to their mates, their partners, their parents, their closest people long before they even ever consider asking someone outside their world for support. And it makes sense, I get it. It feels safe, it's familiar, and it definitely feels less of a risk, right? But the safety that they're seeking, that you're seeking, I also see it's a really fucking big cage. Because the people who know you best are often the least likely or able to challenge you. Because a lot of the people around you are used to a version of you that they've always known. And if you change, if you grow, if you need to show up in a different way that makes them uncomfortable, it means that the relationship has to change too, and that's definitely uncomfortable for them. Because a lot of people just want to stay the same. They don't want to do what you're doing right now, and that is listen to something, that is seek help, that is working with someone or listening to someone that can actually challenge you and actually help you grow. So sometimes being uncomfortable, sometimes more uncomfortable than watching you struggle, is watching you grow. Yeah. Because outside help does matter. I've proven it time and time again in my life, over and over. I've tried to do it all by myself all the time and recognize that I can't do it all the time by myself. And when I've sought that outside help, here's what's happened for me. Because when you seek someone outside your circle, everything shifts. And it doesn't need to be this massive shift. I mean, I've been through, definitely big moments where I would call an ego death, where I'm working with someone and they've really challenged me and it's just completely shifted everything. Because that's what happens. It just can shift everything. Because you're not being filtered through a shared history. You're not being softened by someone's fear of losing who you've always been. And you're not being protected from the truth. Because quite often the people that we love are protecting themselves from their own truth. I've definitely been that, for sure. It was just, softening the blow all the time. And it wasn't being true for me. And it definitely wasn't helpful for the people who wanted my support. Instead, when you work with someone outside of your circle, you're being met with clarity, objectivity, and perspective. As an alignment guide, a coach, especially one who's lived through the dark nights, the breakdowns, the absolute collapse of identity, can see when you can't. Now, it's not because you're incapable, but because you're inside your own life. And unless you've done a lot of this work, unless you've chosen to keep deep diving and keep looking at your patterns and keep doing all the things, you are just simply inside of your life, and you are breathing air into the patterns every single day that live with you. An outside perspective is the one thing that I found that breaks the loop. So it's not often that I talk about my role in the work and talk about all those things, because what I want to share with you is that when you work with me, you're not getting theory, although there is absolutely 25 years of experience and 25 years of training in a multitude of disciplines, not just coaching. I've done a lot of healing and a lot of practical and spiritual. It just spans 2 decades. But what you are getting, and I think most importantly, that really fundamentally supports all of that training, is my mental health battles, the business highs, the business failures, my relationship disconnections, and relationship rebuilding. And I want to share with you around that particular one, because I'm not just talking about the disconnections that I've experienced in relationships that are external to me, the disconnections that I've experienced with my 3 babes, the disconnection that I experienced in my marriage, the disconnection that I've experienced in friendships and partnerships, business partnerships, and the rebuilding that I've needed to do within those relationships, because they are all really important. And I'm sure that you can relate to all of that. But what I also want to share is the relationship disconnection that I've had with myself, that I've had to rebuild with myself. Because there was definitely a point, and I speak about it within my marriage, because my relationship of 18 years, because it was the one where I really identified how disconnected I was from my true self, how much I'd poured myself into the roles and ideas that I thought I had to be. And so within those, I had this huge framework where I didn't ask for help, because I had all these boxes, like, it was almost like a list of, like, this is what you've got to be within these relationships and within these roles. And I was continually checking them off to be that. And so I really had to work hard to connect with me, connect with my true me, and let go of all those lists. Because the truth is, and my true self is, you need to ask for help. I needed to ask for help. And so when I reached out and started working with a variety of different people over the years, I really recognized how far away from me I'd become. And, I've shared, my marriage ended. That was around 8 years ago now. And because it unraveled for quite some time, it was years before then where I was, really coming to understand just how disconnected I was and how we weren't. The more I moved towards my true self and come home to myself, that relationship wasn't true for me. And it definitely wasn't true for him either. So I wanted to share that with you, because that's really the work that I do, is helping you connect and rebuild the relationship with yourself, because it's the most important that you'll have. And once you do that, seeking help and asking for others, and you're being really truthful about what it is you need and what it is you want, becomes it becomes easy, it becomes second nature. So, the other things that you're getting within that lived experience is that long, gritty process of becoming someone I actually fully trust, and not just rely on, but actually trust the choices that I'm making. Because the thing is, I stopped caring about the image that I was trying to perform a long time ago. So I don't care about the image that you're performing either, or you've been performing. I care about the man underneath. The man who wants to lead with clarity, presence, power, peace, but doesn't know how to get there alone. So although this is a really short and sweet episode, and I'm not providing you with any tools, because I'm going to be really honest about that. When we are talking about, the stigma of, asking for help and why it keeps you stuck, I can't fix that in a one episode. I can't give you a tool that's going to make you go out and do it. Because the reality is we've got to uncover the patterns that are going on, and we've got to uncover the why you're doing it, or even the behavior around you not asking for help. And that takes a little bit of time. So, if just that idea is landing for you, if just that, I probably don't ask for help, I'm probably not very good at it, is rolling around in that mind of yours, then I want to invite you to take another step. And however you do that is up to you. I'm going to leave some links in the bio, because if you're tired of being the strong one in a life that doesn't feel really strong, that just feels like you're fucking paddling and you're just moving through every day, like get up and just let's do this. And if you want to step outside that circle where you do want to be in a space where you're challenged and supported all at once, then there's a couple of ways to begin. The first way is the Path to Peace Foundation course, and that is self-paced, and it will give you an idea about emotions and just sort of how you can start understanding the patterns that you're sitting in right now, and start to do some work within that. If you want to go a little bit further, there is an ebook which the course was born from, and that takes you much more deeply into the work of peace, the work of being and remembering who you are. And then there is a way to connect with me if you're wanting further support, and that's something that we can discuss even more. So short and sweet today. I appreciate your time, and I would absolutely invite you to choose one of those to move forward with. Because if you're still here, then I know that you're not asking for help, and you need to. We all need to. So thanks for your time. I appreciate you listening, and I'm going to look forward to seeing which one you decide to step into. Hey, thanks for joining me on the Grounded Path. If today's conversation sparks something in you, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with another man who might benefit from hearing it. As you move through your week, remember this: you don't need another mask. You definitely don't need another coping mechanism. You don't need another version of yourself. You simply need the courage to reconnect with what's already true for you. Until next time, take care.